Okie dokie. Hello, greetings, everybody. This is episode one of the Broken Network podcast. I am Tom McCarthy, and my fat liar friend is named Alexander Pratt.
That's me.
That's him. He's got the gift of gab, and he's got the hats to fit the bill.
Thank you, Tom.
You're very
So,
welcome.
yeah, tonight we thought we'd talk about loneliness and faith and friendship and all things that are of that theme. Um, yeah, so where do you want to start, Tom? What do you think is most relevant these days?
Well, I think what's most relevant is number one, forgive us. This is our first podcast, so I
Yeah.
hope I hope you don't kill us on the errors here. Um, but the deal is, what I've been thinking about recently is when I watch a bunch of stuff online and even looking at people on the bus, I think in a lot of ways loneliness is fucking self-imposed. And I think in a lot of ways we do it to ourselves because we don't necessarily want to show the deepest parts of ourselves to other people. And we can blame it on the judgment of other people. And sometimes that is a result of it. But primarily, um, I think loneliness starts in our own head, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, I can't agree more. I think when I feel most lonely is when I'm really reflecting on myself and my life and when I just get stuck in my head about it, and it's easy for it to happen, especially in today's day and age where everything's digital, everything like this podcast, like we're not talking to you guys in person, where this is
I'm really, really glad about that because you smell bad.
thank you.
I mean,
Thank
look
you
at him.
very
He's a
much.
pig, disgusting pig.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with our obsession with our phones and stuff like that. And we don't really connect the way we used to, not with our neighbors, not with just random people while we're out, just saying hi to someone on the street or I mean it goes from small to big, and I think it's endemic
Yeah.
of our
I
culture.
mean, I also think we get caught up in our own, you know, quote unquote BS because the deal is we kind of entrap ourselves inside of our own head in the sense that we get caught up with our job, kids, anything, and it fucking knocks us back down to where our whole world is the small little circle. And it's almost impossible to kind of circumvent that unless you have a paradigm shift. You know what
Right.
I mean?
Yeah.
Um, I think a lot of no loneliness, um, it can kind of devolve into self pity if we allow it.
Oh, I think
Make
that's
any
definitely
sense?
the path of loneliness. And I think but if you don't know this about us, which you probably don't because this is our first podcast, we're both Christians. We both bought the same cross from the same guy a year apart on Etsy by accident. Um, and we've been friends since college, and we talk on the phone every night. And it's good for both of us because we both get lonely. And as much as it is self-imposed, it's nice to have someone who can understand you and knows who you are from the past. It's sort of like having family.
Right,
Like,
exactly.
yeah, and building a family of friendship is, I think, key in not feeling lonely. I look forward to the time where I talk to my mother during the day. I look forward to the time. I mean, I'm like a hermit. I live in my house and I don't leave much. But,
You have
that's
four
because of my
disgusting cats
job.
there that I'm willing to kill if he asked me to. Uh,
Right. Dead cats.
yeah,
Um,
that's the most important part of this whole podcast is killing your roommate's cats.
But yeah, I have roommates that are very self-involved and we don't really talk much, we don't do much together. And it started out as a friendship and it kind of it's a long story, but
Well,
anyway,
I'll tell the bullet points of it. Bottom line is, you guys don't know it yet, but Alex is a very generous person, and he's very, very kind to his friends. And a lot of times, people take advantage of generosity, and run away with it, and that's kind of what's happened in this case. Uh, and it wasn't self-imposed because he didn't see it coming. He
right,
thought he thought he was his pal, and then his girlfriend moved in and it just compounded and compounded. And then it's like it's a perfect example of what we were talking about a second ago. Like when you deal with crap like that, you want to isolate yourself. You don't want to go out there.
right,
You want to
and
stay the hell away from people because it's
yeah,
annoying.
you get you get caught up in your own misery a lot of the times, and it's self-inflicted, but it's not necessarily your own fault, you
Right.
know. It's it's a tough cycle, just like depression is, or like you'll learn about me, I'm a schizophrenic. And I take medication and it really helps me to function, helps me to do a job. Um, and it helps me to maintain my relationships. And Tom was there with me during, the toughest times of my schizophrenia, and it was hard. I mean, you could ask him firsthand. It was tough probably to watch me. It was tough to talk
Well,
to
you
me.
want to talk about fucking lonely. My God. I mean,
Right,
it's like, how do you even talk to someone dealing with that? You can't.
right,
You can't. And then the isolation gets worse and worse and worse and compounds, and sometimes people start believing their own delusions, and then you get skull boned into this world you've put yourself in, and you can't get out of it until there's antipsychotics. So
right,
it's a different level when you facilitate mental illness with it.
right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, and so this podcast is as much for those who are mentally ill as it is for those who are mentally healthy. And we want to hear your comments and your thoughts, and we want to know what you guys have dealt with too. We're trying to build a community here of people with the Broken Network, which is Tom's brainchild and sort of my brainchild.
Absolutely.
And we've tried to do stuff like this in the past, but now we're really pulling the trigger. And this
Yeah.
podcast is really the start of it. And
Well, it just comes back to a basic need where everything around you, technology wise, work wise, um, social wise, tries to put you in a little fucking hole this big. You have to comply. You have to be the same. You have to think the same. And when you don't, you're ostracized. And the deal is, I think that's bogus. I think it's garbage. I think people that really are lonely have a desperate need to express themselves in it, not even necessarily in an intimate way, but in a positive, passionate way, saying, "Here I am. I'm not exactly the same as you. I got some problems, but you know what? At the end of the day, there's nothing wrong with me.
right, let's
We
face
got
it,
we
we
got to
all have
build.
problems.
We're building a network of that because there's not a lot of them out there. There's a gigantic, gigantic need, and I find it really, really hard to just walk around your day. Everyone's got their phone. They're just glued to it. They don't say hi. They don't even acknowledge you. You're not allowed to think outside the box. this is what's causing school shooters. This is what's doing it. This is
Yeah, and I think, another thing I would like to touch on is, recently I had to go about 5 days without my medication, and it was hell. I was withdrawing because I've been on it for years, and Tom tried to help me to um get the medication, get the prescription, but the reality is I can't get that unless I have an appointment with my psychiatrist, and they're very hard to get, and they're very hard to move around,
and they don't
and
answer your calls. They
they
don't
don't
answer
answer your
your emails.
calls, emails. They
Nothing.
don't they don't bother us.
And they stonewall you. You can't talk to a human being. You're just put on different levels of hold. And you tell me that's healthcare.
Right,
That's the most obnoxious thing I've ever seen in my life. This person has schizophrenia, and you're kneecapping them from getting the help that they need. It's
right.
garbage.
Yeah,
So
it's
without support, without an ability to reach out to people that can kind of stop you from cratering, this is what happens. I mean, look at what happened last week. A former sitting president got shot in the ear by
right.
some 20-year-old kid that probably just needed someone to talk to him.
Yep, I agree. He was classified as a loner. There are videos of him getting bullied in school, and you know, I'm not trying to make excuses. I'm just
No.
saying I think a lot of it has to do with mental health in this country. The reasons why things happen is we have such a poor grasp on mental health.
Well, even more than that, the deal is, yes, there's the mental health component. I 100% agree with that. But the bottom line is that the basic needs of friendship are not are not met at all.
Right,
There's no appreciation and love for the other, the person outside of you. And what I find mostly disconcerting is that when you look at some of these friendships that you see around you, they're so face level.
right.
There's no depth, there's no grit, there's no nothing.
And when someone's generous, a lot of times people will want to use you, and it turns you off from wanting to make more relationships.
We got
Tom and I
plenty of
have both
that.
gone through that, both of
How
us.
about tell them about yesterday?
Yeah, yesterday, this girl who I was friends with, who I had lent money to before, and I said, "Hey, keep the money. It's not a big deal, whatever." She was stuck in a place, and she needed a 2-hour Uber ride. So I was like, "Look, first of all, make better decisions." Because if you're stuck 2 hours from your house, that's not a wise decision. For whatever reason you were there, whatever. And, I'm not going to go into the details, but
No.
basically, I ordered the Uber for her. She missed it. They charged me for, a portion of the fee. And she said, I sent her a screenshot of the pickup location, and she said, "No, no way. I was somewhere else." I said, "Well, you what? What? I sent you a picture." And so the Uber left, and she asked me for another Uber ride and said, "No, you know what? Find someone else to use." Because this person has not made my life any better. They haven't been a friend to me. They only call me when they're in need, and it's usually about money or services.
Always.
Yeah.
What can you
So,
do for me?
and
Just
I
basic
blocked that person.
altruism's just gone.
Right.
It's just gone. It's just void. It's not there. And I think that's something that needs to change. And with these years of loneliness and despondency, the fire gets put out.
Right. It's like it goes down to a little ember, and we
If
need
that,
to,
you just become a vegetable, like
yeah,
lying in your bed.
you're
Don't
or
want
a
to get up.
robot. I like to call it a robot because you
Yeah.
just get up and do the same thing you were going to do yesterday or the next day, and you don't have any passion or fire or love or it's all just complacency, and it destroys your soul, you know it really does. It destroys you from the inside out, and you become weak, and you lose your mojo. You lose your ability to speak your mind. You lose your ability to really love other people. I
You
mean,
lose the force,
yeah,
bottom line.
yeah, you
You
lose the
lose the
force.
force.
Right,
That's the simplest way that I can put it, because the life has been beaten out of you,
right,
and you see no reason to either one expand your social network or support network, two, better yourself in any way, whether that be a better job, health wise, your eating habits, no matter what it is, you feel like it's not worth it because you feel like you're not worth it because people have told you or circumstances have happened that have made you feel like you're totally worthless. So worthlessness and loneliness are hand in hand.
right. I agree 100%.
Yeah.
And I think the worthlessness is a worse result of the loneliness. It's like having to get up and look in the mirror and just not see anything.
You're
Like
dead.
it's like you're looking in the mirror and you're like, who the fuck is this person? Oh, I'm sorry. Who is this? I'll edit that out. It's like getting up and looking in the mirror and saying, who is this person? You know, like what what do I live for? And a big a big part of that for me was, I a couple years back I got a DUI and I was going down a bad path. And a lot of it was because I was lonely and I just wanted to go out to the bar and talk to people for connection. But
Mhm.
I would drink too much and I don't drink anymore because of it. But, you know, I
You
I
know,
got this
just a quick
DUI
heads up.
and
Me and Alex are both clean and sober.
yeah, we're both clean and sober
We
now.
we've
And
both
we have
have
been
had
for
a
a little
drug
bit.
habit. We both have had an alcohol problem, and it's been a road, uh, but we got there. And the deal is, those habits, which many of us have, whether it be drugs or alcohol, whatever, they further the isolation more. It goes
Right.
right down the drain, and you
Yep.
get stuck in the same thought patterns, the same behaviors. Oh, we're gonna change it the next day. It's like that song by Prince Willie that was covered by Johnny Cash called "I See a Darkness." If you listen to the lyrics of that song, that'll resonate with what we're talking about. You get effed up, and you're with your buddy, and you're thinking, "Man, we're gonna do it. We're gonna change it tomorrow. Everything's gonna be great." And then you black out, and then you see the darkness, and nothing's changed.
Right. And then you
And
feel
it's
like
that
shit the next
cycle.
day and you feel bad about yourself and you just
Yeah,
continue the cycle because you don't think you're worth anything more,
right.
you
Right, and
know?
then you just feel like total garbage, and everything in your life suffers from that loneliness. Your job, your health, your hygiene, your diet, your sleep patterns. It's all connected to
Right.
those feelings
Because
of worthlessness and loneliness.
yeah, because we really are, if you really want to heal, it has to be a holistic type of thing. It has to be, I'm not saying like ancient Chinese medicine holistic. I'm saying like it has
Oh,
to be body, mind, spirit. You know, I've been trying to lose weight. I've been doing it successfully. I got my blood pressure down. I'm clean and sober. I go to work on time every day. I take my medicine all the time, every time it's prescribed. I'm doing what I need to do to be the man that I need to be to live the life that I want to live. And I think a big key to that motivation is just wanting a better life for myself.
it's having a reason. In AA, there's certain things of AA that I like, and there's certain things that I don't like. But they talk about a higher power, um, and that can really be anything that kind of gets you off it. But what I've noticed is that people, most of the time, misconstrue a mental health problem with a spiritual problem in the sense that sometimes, yes, people have mental illness, no doubt. But sometimes the solution is friends.
Right.
It's honesty. It's the ability to connect with someone. We all sometimes have symptoms of depression or anxiety or whatever. Okay. But laughing with your friend and making stupid jokes and being obnoxious sometimes is the best medicine on earth.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, you're
Just
fat
blatant
and I hate
stupidity.
you.
Right. You're fat. I hate you. Fuck you. Go to hell. Whatever.
Yeah, see you there.
Exactly. And it's great. Like that's a guy thing, right? That's
That's what we do. I mean, me and Alex talk shit all the time. And
yeah,
sometimes when you impose a little bit of humor onto a crappy situation, it becomes so much better,
right.
so much more manageable, so much less awkward, so much less damaging, you know? It's like me and Alex have been through different levels of hell together,
Oh
and
yeah.
we've laughed all the way through it.
Right.
All the way through.
Because it's the best medicine, just
And the deal is, with loneliness, it's like, look at it this way. Like, people think that God somehow isn't funny.
right.
He has the greatest sense of humor in the universe.
Right.
You know, have you ever seen lemmings walk off a cliff?
Right.
It's
Exactly. It's
funny.
like that.
Have you looked at Alex's face?
Right. It's like that.
He looks like a Down syndrome baby dinosaur that got kicked in the teeth. But that's not his fault. He was just born that way. He
Right.
identifies as a baby dinosaur
I
today.
do. I identify as a adult baby dinosaur.
I got the chubby nips. I'm scared of it. I'm scared of my feelings.
I got them chunky nipples.
We were watching House last night, and we discovered that Dr. Foreman, Omar Epps, has the greatest bulging eyeballs on planet Earth. I mean, they almost pop out of his head. And so we haven't stopped laughing about it for about 2 days. You also, you want loneliness therapy? Okay. Call anyone that you know. And if you feel crappy about your life, put on the show. There's 2 shows you need to watch. Number 1, My 600-Pound Life. 3. Number 2, 1,000-Pound Sisters. Number 3, Unexpected. Okay? Listen to this method.
Get
You feel
yourself
like
a
crap
Max
about yourself.
subscription. It's
Put
only
those
like
on now.
$15 a month and watch those shows. You will not regret it.
You will see a
Because
short Iranian doctor yell at these fat people for fun.
yeah, he
He
loves
doesn't
it.
need the money.
No,
He's
he just
loaded.
he
He's the
loves
best
calling
bariatric
people
surgeon on
obese,
planet
telling
Earth.
them their BMI is over 100. You know.
It's gross. And I feel for those people. But they just what's going to make you laugh is the constant lying. It's constant. They
Right.
come back to the doctor. They haven't lost any weight, and they tell him they're eating egg whites and crap, and they're just lying through their teeth, and he's not buying any of it. And then you get sucked in to this garbage, okay? Garbage TV therapy.
Yep, it's
Talk to
great.
your pals about trash TV.
Yep.
It will help. I promise. We've been doing that for years,
Yep.
years and years and years.
Yep.
And it's one of those things where it never gets old. It really doesn't. It's really always shocking.
Yep.
Is this the healthiest life advice? No, it's really not. I don't really care, but it works. You
It'll
know,
get you through some shit.
this
Let
is
me put
called the
it that way.
broken network,
Right.
not the well-adjusted. Go to college, have 2 kids, be doctor. No, this is for the island of misfit toys here.
Right.
and so we're all a little fucked up. Sorry, YouTube, but the deal is, um, what we are trying to do here is just lower the level of bitterness and loneliness. I'm trying to bring some laughter back. Okay.
Right.
The stuff's got to be funny again. The people that the powers that be don't want you to laugh anymore. And if they want you to laugh, it's at specific things at specific times. And I totally disagree with it because if you've been through hell, I mean, we'll get into it later. I've had the nerves burn in my back. I've had 4 herniated discs. I've and I'm a
And he's a
landscape I'm
contractor.
a landscape contractor, so I'm doing stonework and building stuff and digging holes and I'm a big guy. I'm about 6'8" and about 360 pounds, and your back becomes roadkill after a while, and it gets to the point where you're just sweating and panicking because your back hurts so much, and no matter what you take, doesn't make it any better. And so, actually, 2 days ago, I had my third nerve burn in about 2 years, and I get a good bit of relief. But if I didn't laugh, if I didn't talk shit, if I didn't be able to connect in a joyous way with friends, I'm not sure I'd be here. I'm not sure.
Let's put it this way. Tom has friends from everyone from a schizophrenic to a father of two now, right? Casey, who you'll
Yep.
meet later. Um,
Max is now a father too. He just had another son.
okay, to an 80-year-old man who thinks he's two different people.
I have my good buddy named Mr. Coy. He's from North Carolina. He's 84. He's my buddy from church. And sometimes he thinks I have a twin. And that's okay. I don't care. He's allowed to. If I made it to 80, I would shoplift every day. I'd be a thief. Because I'm basic. I'm just give me $172.
For an
Not a big
Uber.
deal. For an Uber. You see what we're talking about here? This was a truly obnoxious thing that happened to Alex. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, and it kind of set me off a little bit for the day.
Hell yeah,
You
because
know,
you thought this
because
person was
it
your
just
friend.
it made me feel like I was being a bad person by not getting her a second Uber and stuff. And I was just like, you know what? No, like enough is enough. Like I'm being used here, and it's not okay.
You've gone above and beyond the Christian crawl with this point, and at this point, she's simply using you for what she can get. That's not
Right,
a friendship. It's not unchristian to separate yourself from those people
right,
because they obviously do not have your best interest at heart. They're not trying to help you. They're not being your friend. Get the hell out of here. Okay.
right.
If you're not helping me go in a better direction, leave me alone. Because I've had it. You know what I mean? You get loneliness, like the self-imposed loneliness we're talking about. When you deal with enough of those people, they start making you sick. They really do. They start making you sick, and you want to get the hell away from them. And then you feel bad about yourself because of your upbringing, and you're thinking, well, I'm a terrible Christian, I'm a terrible person. Then you get devolved into scrupulosity and thinking that you're always messing up, and it's just a vicious cycle of really negative thinking.
And full disclosure for all of you at home watching, Tom and I are Orthodox Christians. I haven't officially converted yet, but I'm kind of in the process, and I own an Orthodox study Bible, and I uh I really do believe that's the truth, is Orthodox Christianity.
As do I.
And it helps to form, like I said, a lot of this came from my DUI, and that a lot of pain and anguish was avoided in the process. And I think that someone was looking out for me. I could have killed someone. I could have killed myself. And worst thing I did was run over someone's basement doors, like those slanted basement doors. So, um, there was I saw Providence in that, and it kind of gave me a kick in the ass. I was an atheist before that, and I don't know, I
Well,
just felt like
full
I had a
disclosure, both of us were very um, deeply entrenched in Catholicism for many, many years. I grew
right,
up Catholic. I went to 15 years of Catholic school. I actually went to an Opus Dei Catholic school, which is basically Shiite Catholic. Uh, it's not the Da Vinci Code, but it's close. Um, we'll get into that in later podcast. It's a lot to discuss.
lot to
But
unpack there. Yeah,
yeah, there's a
years
lot,
and years.
years and years of stuff. But the deal is, when you mix religion and guilt, you get a really nice sandwich of suck. And
Yeah,
and then you don't want to be around anybody because you constantly think you're failing. You
right,
get into that litigious, juridical view of right and wrong, and then you're left holding the bag, wanting to jump off a bridge because you think you're such a piece of trash and no one wants to be around you, and it sucks the life out of you. It really
yeah,
does.
really, truly does.
Yeah.
But anyway, um, so back to our topic of loneliness and worthlessness and rejection. I think that I don't want to alienate anyone here, but I think that the average male, at least in Western society, has to deal with a lot of shit these days. And I think that we're vilified for our masculinity. And I think that, coming from experience, like the whole term toxic masculinity, like it it's reached I can understand where it's coming from, right? Because there have been examples of toxic masculinity. But just to blanket call every male toxic masculine just because they have some masculine qualities, I think is absurd.
Well, you want to talk about loneliness. What do you think the end result is going to be when people
Right,
say you're fucking toxic?
right,
I mean, you can't have it both ways. You can't have your cake and eat it too. Either I'm toxic or I'm not, you know? And the deal is you need to get your head out of your ass and stop saying crap like that because
right,
it's a vast generalization. Like, when some people look at different races, they make vast generalizations instead of looking at the person. Okay.
right,
It develops a vicious culture of conforming into these low T soy children, you know, to appease people. Everything's about appeasement.
yeah,
Nothing's about the truth. Nothing's about passion.
right,
And when you live or try to live in the truth, it can become very, very lonely
oh yeah,
because sometimes you feel totally on an island.
yep,
When you're that
100%,
one dude in the tinfoil hat that says, "Nope, that's bullshit. That's wrong. I'm not doing it." You
right,
get vilified. You know, they tell you 2 + 2 = 5, and you got to be that one guy that says it's not. And then the result of that is that you're left on an island. So sometimes we generate our loneliness, but sometimes it's worth it because the deal is this: I'd rather be lonely than deal with someone who, number one,
makes you
has
feel
not my best
lonely,
interest at heart.
right,
Number two is leading me down the toilet. Okay.
right,
And, especially as men, to go against a counter current like that is almost like a white martyrdom because if you're not into just railing people, doing drugs, just not caring about anything, you're seen almost as other. You're
right,
seen as something different from them, and they're not associating with you. Like I've been, sober from alcohol for 13 years, and I've gone to plenty of bars after that, never drank. But, you're that little ugly duckling on the island. That's a real lonely place.
Hey, why is this asshole not drinking?
Yeah, why is this asshole not drinking, man? He's weird.
He's
Get the hell
weird.
away
He's a
from me.
weird guy. I've done it too. I've gone to bars
Yeah,
and been
girls don't
sober,
look
and
at you,
I'll drink
other
Red
people.
Bulls or whatever, and
Yeah,
people are like, "Hey, why? Let's do a shot." And I'm like, "Nah, I'm not drinking." And they're like, "Why not?" And it's like, "Well, I get it. We're
because
at
you
a
don't know.
bar,
Because this stuff's gonna kill me.
right?" It's I don't know if you would hate to hear this or not, but alcohol is at the end of the day, it's just poison. And yeah, you can have it. Some people can have it in relatively okay doses,
And that's
but
great. That's
and that's
wonderful.
great and that's fine, but I don't think it benefits anyone to have any amount of it, to be honest with you, because it's
Yeah.
just bad for you. It's
I,
just
I, I mean,
it's like
I,
smoking cigarettes.
I mean, both me and Alex have smoked thousands and thousands of cigarettes
Yeah,
and thousands of joints and
yep,
bongs, you name it.
yep,
And at the end of the day, all it did was precipitate more loneliness.
yep,
Because the
100%.
drunker you get, the higher you get trapped in your own head and your own phantasms, these mental constructs you build for yourself that you perceive as reality. But in actuality, you're by yourself, you're hammered, okay? And you're going to do the same exact thing tomorrow. It becomes a personal hell
Yeah,
when you
I
sucked into that.
personally for the last since about 4 months ago is how long I've been sober from marijuana or weed or pot or whatever you want to call it. And I had smoked it for about 13 years, all day, every day. And I began
Legitimately all day, every
functioning
day. I can attest to that. It was all
all day,
day,
every day,
every day,
all day, every day,
while holding a full-time job
while holding down a full-time job. Yeah. And
as a schizophrenic.
being schizophrenic. And it was a lot. It was a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that can relate to that. I mean, you want to talk about an island, you want to talk about surviving. That's surviving. Okay.
Yeah.
You
And
know what I
I was
mean?
tired. I was just tired of it. I didn't want to do it anymore.
No, because
I
you
didn't
get
want to.
sucked into all the BS constantly.
Right, and the whole culture of it, and everybody saying
Rationalizing all this crap.
rationalizing.
You know
Yeah,
what
really.
biggest vice is? Jugs of coffee.
Right. Yeah. Now I drink
And a
coffee and
vape
I do
pen,
nicotine. That's
you
I
know?
do energy drinks. Those are my vices. But
I'm fine with it
I'm fine with it too.
because my lungs feel better. Uh, you know what really kind of mitigates loneliness sometimes. I know I'm gonna sound ridiculous here, but going to the gym.
Oh yeah.
Um, there's human interaction. You're around other people. You don't even necessarily need to talk to them if you're scared, but you're out there and you're making yourself better. You're
Right.
doing something
And
to
talk,
number one, mitigate loneliness, and two, mitigate your health problems.
and three, strengthen your willpower.
Man, that is what it's all about when you go to the gym. People miss an opportunity to truly make yourself better, to challenge yourself. You can literally forge a different body when you go to the gym. It does not have to be the same. It's not stagnant. And when you do that to one part, it precipitates to the other parts. You spiritually wake up, you emotionally wake up after you physically wake up. Okay. I'm still a fat ass. Okay. Like I work my ass off, but I'm still a pig. Okay. I got a long way to go. And so the deal is, you don't think about it that way. You don't think, oh, I'm too fat to go out in public. I should just be by myself. I just lock myself in my fucking room, shut up, watch TV and go to bed and do it all over again. No, 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 no. If you're trying, if you're making an effort, that's all that matters. That's
Right.
it. What's the
Make
best diet? When you do.
One you
What's the best
do.
workout? One you do.
Right.
Compliance is the science. It's an act of the will. It is
And
a
it's a game of
spiritual
inches.
exercise.
It's a game of inches a lot of times, especially for adults
Hell
who
yeah.
have hundreds of things to balance during their day. You know, it's like you can only spend so much energy on a certain thing, and to break out of your routine to do something more is not always easy. So we get that, but it is a game of inches, you know, just like my mental health or my depression or my weight or anything, you know. I've been eating one meal a day for the last like
Like
almost
legit.
year,
More than that.
year and a half, two
More than
years,
that.
and I'm slowly losing weight.
He's under 300
I'm
now, man.
down below
He
300
was put on
pounds.
when he first got diagnosed, he was put on lithium. They had him on Thorazine in the hospital. They put him on the antipsychotics. All that crap lowers your T and makes you fat. Okay.
Yeah,
And the
100%.
deal
I
is,
gained 100 pounds in a year.
I remember first going to his house. He grew his hair out. I hadn't seen him in a year. I was like, "Holy shit! What do these pills do to you?"
Yep.
Right? And you were just, it was just, and you were zonked because
Yep.
because the lithium. You were zonked.
And
You
that
was
was a bad
zombie.
diagnosis. I'm not bipolar. You know,
Yeah,
I
I
didn't
mean,
need to be on lithium. I just needed the
I'll be
antipsychotics.
honest, pardon my French, they fucked him. They did. They really did. And they put him on this garbage they had no business being on, um, almost as a sedative. And you want to talk about, someone sapping your mojo? That's it right there.
Yeah.
And it wasn't his fault, but it happened. And so there
So,
was a choice
just
to
a
be made.
word of advice for anybody who's dealing with mental illness and medication: spend time dialing in your meds. Talk to your psychiatrist about your side effects. Don't be afraid to be honest with them, because a lot of times there's an alternative. And it took me 5 or 6 medications to
Yeah.
actually make my voices go away.
Yeah. And talk
So,
about the depression symptoms. He got knocked, he got kicked in the dick on that too.
yeah.
And it's just this healthcare. It scares the hell out of me. You pay through the nose for it, and you're just left holding the bag
You get a
with these
third
things
world
that
quality of service.
these things these counter indicate. Oh my God, it was a nightmare. Like after he had came off some of these medications, it was a disaster. It was a
Oh
disaster.
yeah.
It was a
I
total
came
disaster.
Effexor one
Oh
time,
my
and
God.
the only thing I could do not to lose my shit was drink. And
Legitimately, I was on the phone with them for 3 nights till about 4 in the morning. And because I didn't know what the hell he was gonna do. I didn't know
yeah,
what
I didn't either,
I
because
literally
my
I had to keep him
emotions
on
were
the phone.
so up and down and crazy, and you know, it was horrible. So make sure you're careful about what you go on. Know the side effects beforehand of coming off of it. And
And go this if you can, go to someone who cares about your well-being.
right,
Do not be data on a page.
right,
Be a person.
exactly.
Affirm yourself. Have the fire and the clarity to say, okay, I am advocating for myself. Okay. Yes, they have the degree. Yes, they can sign off on the medication, but you need to find someone that has your best interest at heart as your medical provider. And it's tough saying no, it's tough firing doctors. Okay. But if you don't deal with this, how on earth are you going to deal with the loneliness problem? You can't. It's
Yeah, you
impossible.
know, mental health, people don't realize, is one of the biggest keys to life. And for me, staying sober, being on the right medications, and having a sense of schedule, you know, a lot of these things that people talk about that are just common knowledge, we forget them over time when we get into bad habits,
Oh my
and we
God, you
lose
want you
them, and
bro.
then we're just trashed.
I mean it's the simple things. Hey Alex, I think you need sleep. No, it's not that. Hey Tom, I think you need to go to bed, maybe eat, maybe have something to eat. Nope. It's not that. And it usually always it is the simple things sometimes
Right.
that are self-evident, but you get so messed up that you don't even know the difference.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where uh we can either perpetuate the cycle of loneliness, defeatism, isolationism, live in a digital world, or we cannot. And I'm not saying we win every day, but like with the game of inches, just keep headbutting it. Do something uncomfortable every day is the
Yeah.
cure to
Come a
loneliness.
little bit out of your comfort zone. Just inches.
Just
Just
inches,
inches.
man.
Maybe
Walk
it's just
around your
going to the
house.
gym and taking a walk on the treadmill, in a
Just
nice,
walk
cool
twice
environment.
around your house. Just do that. Get out of the house
Yeah.
if you're an agoraphobe. I mean, just stepping a foot out of the house is a big deal. Me and Alex have both dealt with that as well, where we don't want to leave our house, don't want to leave the room, don't want to do anything. And you say, you know what? Fuck that. That's incorrect. I am going to live life despite, or in spite rather, of my mental illness. And when you make gains at the gym, when you get through a work week, when you fix your car, when you have a nice meal, these are all wins that
Yeah.
can mitigate the problems of loneliness. And so we need, number one, to understand that this is something within our control that we can
Right.
change.
100%. And
Loneliness is up to you.
for me, I've found that having a faith, you can have faith in whatever you want,
Right.
any higher power you want, but having a faith in a higher power, thinking that there's a connection between you and a creator or something of that sort, or whether it's the universe or whether it's you're connecting with nature or whatever it is.
Bubba Fett, Grimace, I don't care, whatever it is.
Yeah,
Right.
whatever it is, have a connection with something higher than you.
Outside, have a connection with the other. Okay.
Right.
The human mind is the only thing on earth that can actually venture outside of itself. It's the only thing on earth. It is miraculous what the brain can do. And
Absolutely.
to the bottom line is that it's still not understood.
Yep.
You can talk about phenomenology, you can talk about metaphysics, you can talk about philosophy, you can talk about Aristotle, whatever. Bottom line, we don't know,
Yeah,
but we
and these
do.
men are only every scientist or every philosopher, they're only one perspective on on an ocean of a topic. They're a drop of water in an ocean. And that's how I look at myself as a human being and my connection with God is that I'm a drop of water in an ocean of other beings. And I'm here to make that ocean a little bit better, you know, and whether it's for myself
That's
or
it.
others or, just whatever I can do just to try and be good.
Stop living life just for yourself, is what
Right,
he's trying to say.
right.
And the deal is that's the paradigm shift we were talking about at the beginning of this podcast is okay, my focus has entirely been on self, my wants, my needs, my desires. You will never find peace in that because there will always be something lacking. You'll always want something different, something new, something better, something shinier, something faster, whatever the hell it is. And the deal is, you're never going to be satisfied. There's a quote by St. Augustine that may be my favorite quote. He says about God, my heart is restless until it rests in you. And that is the final solution for loneliness because when you actually are able to put trust in whatever higher power that you have, you take the onus, you take the burden off yourself, and you understand that there is an intellect and a virtue that is guiding your path that you are open to, because your current one has led you into fucking dirt. It's led you locked up in your room, like Adam's song from Blink 182, you know, take me away from here. But the deal is, I find that when you really understand what is actually going on in the world and in the universe, everything's based off of love. And if you actively love that higher power, if you actively seek to help other people, that sense of loneliness will dissipate.
Absolutely. And it does, because it takes you outside of your head, outside of yourself, and it makes you it gives you purpose. There's when you don't have purpose, you're aimless. And there's no arguing that.
No,
Um, and so you need to have some kind of purpose in life, and purpose comes manifold. And the more you can unite your purposes, the better off you are.
yes. Alex has a very, very, very amazing ability to take very complex things, very complex topics, and make them very, very simple. And so, every time I'm lonely, I call Alex. I call Alex and we'll talk some crap. Then we'll get into conversations like this and we will think and articulate the way we see the world. And then sometimes when you put words to those feelings that you have, to those things that are pestering your head, to those problems you can't solve, even if you're nervous to talk to other people, when you flesh those things out, your world opens up. It
Yeah,
really does,
it does.
you know, because both, to be honest, both me and Alex are very shy a lot of times,
Yeah, this is not easy for us doing this podcast,
at all.
putting ourselves out there and just trying to talk to the world and try and
Yeah,
make
this
a
kind of
little.
stuff makes me sick.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, it
But
makes me sick.
we both realize the value in the necessity of someone doing it.
Well, yeah,
Someone
I
has
mean,
to articulate the things that we've been through and show that it's common. There's a common thread. There's a common link between all of us in our humanity.
and there's cool resources out there. There's one that was established by Jake Lures, the front man of one of my favorite bands, August Burns Red. They are legends in the metal community. He started something called Heart Support that is very similar to this and talks about similar programs and topics. However, when we talk about what we're going to talk about in future podcasts, our goal is to get to the unmitigated, unwhitewashed truth of kind of what's going on because it's been so warped, it's been so manipulated, it's been so curated into what people want us to see. When we see these untruths, we're left totally unsatisfied. And we know it's wrong. We know all this whitewash crap is garbage. I mean, watch any White House press secretary. And you want to tell me you want to tell me
Right.
we're living in the truth? Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Well,
So
we'll get
this
into
is a free
government.
place for us to actually talk, for us to actually speak our minds, like what you feel in your gut,
Right.
like what you understand to be the truth, and not
Implicitly
be
in your heart
ashamed
and your
to
soul.
say it.
Right.
That's
And
what we're trying to do here, man.
and to not be afraid. To not be
There's
afraid
gotta
to
be a
actually
place.
connect with that part of yourself.
There's gotta be a place to let it all hang out. There has to be. People are going freaking crazy. Look at
Yep.
all these school shootings. Look at all this crap going on. Because people are told to be silent.
Yep.
And this is what's wrong. This is what's killing the country. And we're just trying to you know, put our money where our mouth is, basically.
Yep.
We've been talking about this for a long time, and we finally had it. Really,
Yep.
uh, we've had a series of personal wins here, especially with my buddy Alex. Just yesterday he found out he was under 300 pounds. You know how big of a deal that is for
Yeah, I've been
someone on
hovering between
antipsychotics.
330 and 340s for the last 10 years.
That's on antis that literally makes you fat, that
Yeah.
literally shuts down your metabolism. And now he's under three. That's a mensch. You know what I mean? That's a mensch.
Well, thank
And
you,
so,
Tom.
well, you're welcome. You're still ugly as sin. You still make me want to throw up, but it's fine. We'll work on that later. I'll get you a kabuki mask. What you'll see later is Alex has a trench coat that's colored black that he'll be wearing for certain things. But that's for another day.
Those are surprise videos.
There's a lot of madness coming up.
Yep, a lot
Real
of
laughter.
madness. Our inner
Real,
madness will come out.
real actual laughter. You know what
Right,
I mean? Funny, stupid. I miss stupid crap. I miss watching Metalocalypse. It was just dumb for the sake of being dumb, and it made me happy.
right. Or Aqua Teen Hunger Force or
Whatever, man. It was all that
you
garbage we grew
know,
up with.
whatever,
It was South Park. It's just there has to be an antidote for thought police,
yeah. Right,
and there has to be another way to mitigate this problem of universal loneliness that we've been seeing. There has to be another option. There has to. And also for people who have had mental health or addiction problems like we've had, there has to be another resource besides step meetings, you know,
right,
because those can be very imposing. Those
right.
can be very uh uh very tough to deal with right off the bat. And sometimes people need to be met right where they're at and
Yep,
not pushed into a to what people want to be right at that moment, because that's how you lose people too.
yeah. And I think this is a good closing point for our
Yep.
podcast. Tom, is there anything else you wanted to bring up before we exit?
Uh, no, I'm scheduled to push you off a bridge later, but besides that, that's about it.
All right, I'll wear my swimmies.
Okay.
All right, thanks guys. Thanks
All
for
right,
watching.
thanks. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.